Hey, good evening. I'm Bill DeYoung with the St. Pete Catalyst. Welcome to another week and welcome to yet another edition of the Catalyst Sessions. I'm so happy you're joining us today. What we're trying to do is keep our arts community together in a virtual way and remember that we're all still part of a community. We're all in this together. I have a very special guest tonight. She has worked with Freefall. She has worked with American Stage, Stageworks, and Job Sites, and all kinds of other places that aren't around here, and some that are. She originated the role of Susan in St. Pete playwright Sheila Cowley's drama Flying. She played Eulalie Shin in a very memorable St. Petersburg Opera production of The Music Man. And in 2019, she played Rosie, one of three feisty friends who sing a whole bunch of ABBA songs in Mamma Mia, which, you know what, broke records for an American stage show in Demon's Landing Park. I would like you to say hello to the lovely and quite wonderful Becca McCoy. Hello, darling.
Oh, hi, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you don't live in St. Pete anymore, but you're here right now, right? Tell us about that.
I am. Life is funny.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I moved to Chicago in August, and it's my third time living in Chicago. But I moved there based around getting a job at Paramount Theater to do Beauty and the Beast. And it was a 14-week contract. So it was long enough to justify, just returning to that market and giving it a try. And even though right now things are not how I pictured, I do have my health insurance because of it. So that's good. And
that's equity, right? That's an equity thing.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah.
And I performed at Paramount, which is one of the golden era renovated theaters that seated almost 2,000 people. This absolutely extraordinary experience. But I was down here doing Gypsy when everything started to shutter. And there hasn't been a good opportunity to go back, between
I thought Gypsy came
orders.
I thought Gypsy came before that Beauty and the Beast. I got my sequencing all wrong. So you did the whole 14 weeks of that in Chicago?
Beauty and the Beast, yeah.
Were you Belle? Were you Mrs. Potts? Were you, Cogsworth? Who were you?
I was, it's obvious when I say it, I was the wardrobe.
Oh,
Madame.
You were Joanne Worley. Can I hear your laugh?
Singer who's trapped in the wardrobe.
Can I hear your laugh? Your Joanne Worley laugh?
When Belle backs into me, because I had a mirror over my face, so when Belle backs into me and the wardrobe comes to life, it was a big.
That's what I wanted to hear. You played Mama Rose at Gypsy. This is Theater Zone in Naples.
Yeah.
Where you've done some other stuff before. Was that kind of a dream role for you? I mean, that's a lot of work, man, to carry that one.
That was a lot of work.
What was that like?
That was extraordinary. And, we're all going to have our COVID-19 stories, and how fascinating that role is tied up in this story for me. Because it was this astronomical amount of work and such a huge dream come true and a marvelous cast. And the entire last weekend, which also got cut short, was fraught and stressful and surreal.
Because of what was happening, right?
Yeah. Because we're watching all these other theaters close, and nobody knows what's happening. We're hearing these terms like social distancing, and you're like, I'm in a dressing room with 5 other women. That's not a possibility. So that's always going to be tied in with my COVID-19 story. But
is that the kind of role that would be on like the bucket list, the dream list? One day I want to do that, because that's a real. That's you always said that you were forceful and brassy, and you specialize in those kind of characters. That's Mama Rose. That's the whole Ethel Merman shtick, man. So was that like a dream role for you? Like, this is right in my wheelhouse, as it
absolutely. Yeah. And but even more than those kind of surface aesthetics, at her core, that is a woman who is so desperately afraid of failure a woman who needs to latch on to other people in order to push her own dreams forward. I mean, there's stuff at the molecular level that I relate to with that particular character. Yeah, getting to
should you get on the couch? Should we start talking now? You're a St. Pete native, am I right? You were born here, weren't you? Were you born in St. Pete?
I was born on a military base in Germany, but I was raised in St. Pete.
Yeah.
And I am currently isolating with my parents and my daughter and my boyfriend in my childhood home.
So everybody was in Naples with you, and you just sort of migrated up north? Is that
no, I was in Naples by myself.
Oh, okay. So, I'm thoroughly confused, but the thing I want to make sure people understand is that they've seen you on stages here since you got out of St. Pete High School and beyond.
Oh yeah.
But you don't live here anymore. You know,
technically no.
No, but I mean, this is really getting bizarre. Here you are today. Will you be back working here at some point? I mean, do you think? I mean, if the right gig comes up.
Well, I mean, at the moment, I'm in an existential crisis, I think, along with a lot of other actors.
Well, the moment,
I don't even know what industry will be here. So at the moment, I just have to make the right choice to mitigate my finances and survive for the next year or year and a half or question mark. And
let's
so
call
it's
it 6 months, man.
Time.
I got to do a glass half full thing here. Right? When people say, "Oh, it could be a year, it could be," you know, I can't do that. I just want to like cower on the floor in a corner somewhere, you know. So let's be optimistic and say 6 months, everything will be back to normal. I don't know this, folks. Don't quote me. I'm just being optimistic. You had a gig at Stagework lined up in May. I saw this on a schedule somewhere. A stage reading of something, or somebody's original thing. Tell me about that. And I mean, is that just gone with the wind now?
Well, no, I mean, that one is in a holding pattern. And so whenever things resume, you know, theoretically, we can pop back into that. But I've worked with David Rakoff, who's the writer of this show. It's called Nothing Like Broadway.
Nothing Like Broadway, yeah.
But a year, 2 years ago, I did another show for him where he was the lyricist and the book writer, and he was working with a composer. And that was based on the Rocking Horse winner. And I did the Clearwater reading, and then I did the New York City reading, and made great friends with both parties. And so David invited me to originate a role in this show, and got some rehearsals under our belts, but then right now we're in a holding pattern.
Let me touch on something you said earlier, and obviously all of the people that I know who are in the performing arts have their own version of this particular. Can I say the word shit show? It's kind of. Are you doing okay? Are you in good shape? You're gonna get financially and all that stuff, because the work's gone. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, my whole playground is gone. It's not even that, like I've been unemployed before. I've been between gigs before. Right now, we've just had a decimated landscape, and so it's a very different experience. I am not dire enough for qualifying for aid, so that's a unique good place to be, I suppose.
You're a rarity there.
Yeah, and I even said the other day that I have the privilege of having an existential crisis. That I realize not everybody even has the luxury of being able to go through that contemplatively. But yeah, I mean,
or even saying that 3 times fast. That was great. Contemplatively. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, some days I'm great, and I can bust out a little cabaret in my parents' guest room, and some days I stress eat cereal at 2:00 in the morning. So,
yeah, I've done that. I had chicken salad at 2 a.m. the other day.
Yeah,
it manifests itself in strange ways, doesn't it? Before we look at these pictures, I wanted to ask you, you've done a lot of musical theater. but you've also done, straight plays and other kind of stuff like that. And, what feels closer to your skin and your heart to you? What, as it were?
Well, actually, Chris Crawford and I talked about this when we were doing Spamalot, that for people that go in between the genres, oftentimes the one that I like the most is the one I'm not doing at the moment. So when you're in a musical, you're like, what I wouldn't give to just talk. And then when you're in a
when
show,
you're in Waiting for Godot, all you want to do is get in Fiddler on the Roof.
No, but honestly, musical theater is the one that's the nearest and dearest to my very bones. Because in a lot of ways, it's also the closest thing that we have to Shakespeare, to the level of expression of Shakespeare, that when words fail, then you have to sing. You have to elevate your communication level to this, to the next level. And,
well said.
And so thank you. I have a limited vocabulary here in isolation. And so I appreciate the freedom of musical theater, that the transcendent nature of singing when spoken word no longer serves. And I've always preferred that storytelling module over opera as well. Even though I have a very classical sounding voice, I tend towards the storytelling of musical theater and the companionship of musical theater company.
Oh, I know. I wanted to tell you, we watched The Phantom of the Opera the other night. The 25th and whatever it was.
Yeah.
I had never seen it before, and my wife, who is far smarter than me, said you should watch it at least once. And this was in the Albert Hall with great singers, and I had listen. There's a point to all this, believe me. I had always thought it was sappy and sentimental, and I'm predisposed to think Andrew Lloyd Webber's some kind of a twit, and I didn't want to know, But in a way, it was sappy and sentimental and very romantic, but this it's a big one. It totally got me. I thought, this is so cool, and that's the beauty for me of what musical theater does. And that's not even a classic example of musical theater. I mean, it's a very different kind of style, but just it draws you in. And I've never understood, people who are like, well, the legitimate theater does not include musical. Musical theater has got to be really hard to put that across.
Yes. Phantom of the Opera was the first big musical that I remember. My grandparents lived outside of Washington, D.C., and my mom took me, I was in middle school, to the Kennedy Center, and we had standing room tickets for Phantom of the Opera. And so the only thing that I couldn't really see was the chandelier when it came crashing down. But I mean, it sealed the deal for me. And also my love of these kind of, the spectacle musicals, getting to do Beauty and the Beast. I was wearing a 6-foot costume in a 2,000 seat theater. It was, every day was such a dream.
Hard to dance in that, isn't it? I mean, if you're the wardrobe, right, or a dresser or something, wasn't I mean, that's a bit boxy, isn't it, to dance around in?
Oh, she was cumbersome, but I was social distancing before that was a thing, because my very costume was 6 feet wide.
There you go. See, ahead of the curve, as always.
Right. Always.
Joe, can we bring up the first photo? Yeah, are you there, sir? Mr. Hamilton has got me, and something's going to happen. Hey, look at that. This is Mamma Mia. Are you there? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got tickled because it said pinch out for larger view, and I was like, that's not necessary.
I didn't. I think he did. So listen. We're not quite there yet. No, that's the next one. It's all live, folks. That's how it works. I think he's messing with us now. Oh, I think he pinched it out for larger version. Anyway.
You did.
How many people did this show play to? I mean, do you know how many how many nights was it? And this was a
Oh
lot. It
man,
seemed like it was there for a long time.
I'm so disappointed that I don't know this statistic anymore. It was
Life
a lot.
does go on, yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of people
Yes.
saw this show.
A lot of people, many thousands of peoples.
What's that like being out there, under the stars and all that? I mean, how different is it from being on a proscenium stage somewhere with walls?
Again, same as Beauty and the Beast, Spamalot and Mamma Mia. The fact that there's no cap to the set, that the very environs around you are part of the world that you are performing in. You can hear your own voice bouncing off of the buildings on Beach Drive. It's otherworldly. That to me, it's I can never get enough of being in the park. I think the park show is magic.
But I mean, with all that stuff bouncing around, isn't there like you're moving around. What if I forget the words to Fernando or something? Oh my God. That was a joke, because I know you wouldn't.
Now that I've been doing it, this is my 20th year as a professional, and everything has happened to me on stage, everything, and I'm still standing.
Give me some. What's the worst thing that ever happened to you that you can share with people that ever happened? Because there's always a few.
Oh God, there was a fun, I was doing a show for Gavin Hawk's theater company, A Simple Theater, and Steve Ray and I played siblings, and then we also did Spamalot together. Mm-hmm. And I played a bowling-loving, devout Catholic, and I had bowling shoes on, and I wiped out on stage. I was chasing him around the kitchen table, and I just bit it.
So what do you know? Sort of, you have to work it into what you're doing, like I was.
Yes, of course, because at that moment, Beverly fell in the kitchen, and that's hilarious. So
that's not as bad as forgetting the words to Fernando.
I mean, in front of 2,000 people, anything feels a little more detrimental. We've eaten love bugs out in the park. I mean,
So have I, and I wasn't even on the stage. Can we have the next picture, my friend? This is Flying. Sheila Cowley, if you know, is a wonderful writer, local writer and editor, and a very sweet person, and also does records podcasts for people and works on the radio theater project that they do over at the Studio 620. And Flying was a dramatic play that Sheila wrote about women in the early days of aviation. Was this special for you during this one?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. And that was, because you've kind of nailed what my wheelhouse is and where I tend to make my bread and butter. But Sheila was someone who knew me as a person and allowed me to bring this character to life. And a complete opposite of everything that I've just said about these other experiences. I'm playing to 50 or 100 people per night in a very small space. And, so now the audience is basically sitting on the tip of your nose as opposed to being in the back of a park. And it was a very gratifying, but also liberating experience to just get to simplify and tell a really extraordinary story about women who ended up being liberated themselves without realizing that they wanted to be or needed to be, and what it was like to return to a world that wanted them to go backwards. And again, that's something that I think we can relate to on a molecular level. So I was really honored to be able to do the show.
I think Sheila's a great talent. I'd like to have her on here one of these days.
Oh, you should.
Come on and chat with me. She's so quiet. She's so quiet that you can hardly ever hear when she's talking. Have you ever noticed that? She
is the quietest voiced person with the most ferocious hug. Like, she will break you in half. She's the first person I want to hug after this isolation phase.
Well, let's make some calls. We'll make it happen. We have one more picture to look at, and we'll just recap since we've really already talked about Gypsy. I mean, is there any business like show business? Is that song from Gypsy? Did I get that right?
That picture is from The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which I did the season before Gypsy.
Well, okay, so shoot me. Okay, I thought that was your Mama Rose.
I don't care. It's probably the same wig. I don't know.
Well, Edwin, this is the one that's written by Rupert Holmes, right? I mean, I know a little bit.
Yeah. So not only did I get to do the show, but then Rupert came and did a concert with us. So I got to sing with him a couple days after we closed.
Great talent, that guy. Well, sorry I had the wrong picture, but it's live, folks. This kind of thing happens. I'm telling the folks.
And Rupert is the nicest man in show business, which is always good to hear about people.
Yeah. I could tell you some horror stories about people who aren't so nice that I've run across, but that's for another conversation. Becca, what a thrill to talk to you tonight. And, it's quite possible that a lot of your friends or your fans, people who know you and like what you do, don't even know you're in town right now. They can't see you. They see you now. Want to say hi? Say hi to everybody, Becca. Yay.
My friends. I'm right by Crescent Lake.
We look forward to when you're back on stages around here. You said you would grace us with a song to take us out tonight. I would really like that.
I did. I also said that I pulled something off the wall of my mother's guest bedroom to show just you, Bill DeYoung, because my mother is a Beatles fan to rival you.
Uh-oh.
And so I sleep next to her Shea Stadium ticket stub.
And there's the ticket stub. How cool is that?
Yes.
That's 66. Is that a 66 poster?
65. It's the Shea Stadium poster.
That's so great. They played it both years, 65 and 66.
And George is also her favorite.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Say hi to your mom. We're kindred spirits over here,
I know it.
Becca, my darling, please take us out and thank you.
All right,
again.
will do.
Okay.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. Oh, always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
Thank you, Miss Lynn.
Thanks, Mr. DeYoung.
Vera Lynn, folks. Becca McCoy, thank you again, my darling. And we'll see you soon on the other side of this.
All right.
Okay.
Stay safe.
Join us tomorrow. Join us tomorrow for the Catalyst Sessions. Jeff Klinkenberg will be on here with us. Woo! And I'll try and make him laugh. No guarantees, because he can make me laugh. It doesn't take much. All right. Good night, Becca. We'll see you all next time.